Hello, Brain Warriors. I hope you're all having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the Quit Sugar Masterclass. Now, my journey has been paralleled with a lot of mental health and brain health. And as a result, I've come to the other side of it, obsessed with the need for us all to quit sugar. Not only does it affect our mental health, which we'll dive in to today, it also affects our physical well-being and well-being of our family. So let's dive right in. If you just want to mark into the chat for me where you are tuning in from today and what is your interest in quitting sugar, and we'll get started. So I've created a bit of a PowerPoint for us to work through. Okay, my friends. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. So I've got ADHD and proud, and I've had anxiety and depression for a good part of my life. And between 18 and 25, I was 25 kilos heavier than I am now. And that's because I had binge eating disorder. And what I binged on was sugar. Okay, and it paralleled my mental health because sugar drives us up and then it drops us down as well. So I tried every diet to lose the weight. I studied as a personal trainer. I started exercising like you wouldn't believe, but then I'd go home and I'd have 2 pizzas, loaves of bread, ice cream, chippies, lollies, and then I'd just jump back in the gym in the morning and I would wonder why it wasn't working. So I felt out of control. I tried these diets like I'm sure you all have, and I felt it was me. I felt I lacked willpower. So I was on this journey of trying all these different things, studying nutrition, really trying to find what the key was. And the key, my friends, that I found worked the most was quitting sugar. And then in 2020, I had a head injury. I suffered from post-concussion. And interestingly, during that time, I craved sugar again, and it mirrored the ups and downs of my moods. So what I want to take you on today, my friends, is a journey to get you to understand why you need to quit sugar, why you really need to consider this for yourself and your family and the longevity of all the humans on the planet, because it is a secret little killer that is in our cupboards that is destroying our mental health and our physical well-being. So I just want you to have a look, and you can type into the chat if you feel brave, okay? How many of these symptoms do you have? Because let me tell you, my friends, at the worst time in my life, I had all of these things. Okay, we've got weight gain, we've got bloating, irritable bowel, skin issues, muscle aches, shaky hands, PMS for the ladies, overwhelm, fatigue, food cravings, which is a really big part of it because we actually become addicted to sugar. Brain fog, mood swings, depression, anxiety, irritability, memory problems, hyperactivity, insomnia, headaches, and bad breath. It is all related to sugar. And this isn't just my opinion, right? This is science. So the science, we know that sugar is related to type 2 diabetes. It's related to heart disease, weight gain, cavities, liver disease, kidney disease, energy lows, diabetes, and memory loss. So stay with me, my friends. I'm going to take you on a little pain journey and we're going to come out the other side, because today I'm going to equip you with some skills to actually get started to know where the sugar is in your diet. Now, I'd like you to pop into the chat for me how you feel about this. So if sugar can eat through one of the strongest materials in our body, our teeth, what is it doing to the rest of us? What is it doing to our gut? What is it doing to our bones? What is it doing to our muscles? So we know type 2 diabetes is 100% lifestyle, and it's related to sugar consumption. Okay, that's one of the main things that drives insulin levels up through the roof, is sugar consumption. And for some of you that are watching, one of the hallmarks of this is darkening of skin in the creases. So if you're getting dark spots on your knees, on your elbows, and the creases of your arm and under your armpit, then really consider going and getting your HbA1c, your blood glucose measured, to see where you're tracking. The other sign that your blood sugars are getting a bit scribbly are skin tags, you know? So it's these little things that if you haven't had a blood test done in a while and you're concerned you've got some of these symptoms, then go and get your blood sorted and get on to quitting sugar very, very quickly. Okay, now this was when I was overweight, I was like a fat spider. So all my weight was on my belly, and I can still remember on the plane from the UK, I actually needed to have one of the extender belts, but my arms and legs were kind of uninfected. And I learned through my study of nutrition why this happens. So even if you're skinny, you're not getting away with this, right? Sugar accumulates around the organs first, and it's a protective mechanism for the body that is ancient in our system, because the fat goes around the organs to protect the organs, right? So in winter, we would have these periods of famine, and in the spring, there was more abundant fruit. In summer, there was more abundant fruit. The sugars were there to put the fat stores down for the winter, and they went around the organs. So this is why we're seeing this patterning of men and women, myself included when I was overweight, that we have these bellies that start, okay? Now, the other thing is that they are calling Alzheimer's and dementia type 3 diabetes. And I'm not saying this lightly, because I know we have a family member who's going through dementia. It is not a light subject, but they are finding now that poorly controlled blood sugars are directly linked to Alzheimer's and type 2 diabetes. So again, it's a dietary factor that we actually have control over. For those of you that have ever had a journey with mental health, like I have, you know, depression, anxiety, mood swings, ADHD, OCD, all of the brain labels can be linked back to our nutrition, okay? It's not the full picture, but it is definitely a massive, massive part of the picture. So in studies that were done, and this was a comprehensive study of 23,245 individuals, they found that there was a higher risk for depression with excessive sugar consumption. There was increased sadness and anxiety during elevated blood sugar. So that's when we're having too much and our blood sugar is high, we tend to get anxious. Some people can get irritable, ADHD. People definitely tend to get a little bit more scribbled with too much sugar in the system. And then what happens is the blood sugar drops and we get these intense lows. And in those intense lows, that is where we crave carbohydrate and sugar to bring us out of the low again. So it creates this addictive patterning in the brain. Now, in a study with the rats were given the choice between cocaine, which is highly addictive, and sugar. They chose the sugar every single time. So it's firing the part of our brain that is addicted to video games. People get addicted to drugs, devices, porn. There's a whole lot of stuff that sits in that front part of the brain, and sugar is right in there, my friends. Okay, so we need to know that it is an addictive substance that is legal in our shops. Again, we know that sugar feeds cancer and weakens our immune system, causing gut issues. So it actually decreases our white blood cells. So if we're constantly getting sick, if we've got kids that are constantly off school, really start to look at how much sugar is in the diet. And this is what I'm going to teach you today. Oh, what's going to happen if we don't take action? So it's pretty scary that worldwide, 380 million people are projected for 2025 to have type 2 diabetes, which is really, really scary. You know, and I want you to get disturbed about this stuff. I've put this masterclass together because I want you to realize that the war against sugar is serious. It's really serious. It's hurting you. It has hurt me in the past. It's hurting our kids. It's hurting our families. And it's really time to think, okay, what can I do? Because the power is in your hands and it's also in the tongue. How it's affecting your life right now. So it's affecting your brain. It's affecting your heart. It's affecting your liver. And it's affecting your joints. At 23, when I had the epitome of my mental breakdown, right? I was overweight and I was highly depressed. I had suicidal ideation. And after my attempt, which failed at 23, I went to the doctors and I was diagnosed with fatty liver. Now, at that time, they didn't know what fatty liver was. You know, this is 22 years ago when I was diagnosed with fatty liver. And the doctor actually said to me, have you been using needles, right? And I just went bright red. Have you been having sex with people who have been sleeping with prostitutes? And again, my jaw dropped and I went bright red because I've been doing none of those things. But the doctor's reference in terms of how diseased my liver was attributed to those behaviors, okay? But what had been causing it was my binging on bread, my binging on lollies, drinking bottles of Chardonnay, you know, all of this sugar that was being dumped into my system on a regular basis had caused me to have mental health problems, affect my liver, and also my blood sugars. So I needed to change. And how I changed was by starting at looking at added sugars to start with. And for most people, this is where we go, right? Because we think, oh, I don't eat sugar. You know, I've had clients before and they say, I don't eat sugar. And when we're thinking about it, we're just really looking at the added sugar in the beginning. But the process of quitting sugar is so much more complex than that, okay? And we're going to dive into that now. So if we look at where the hidden sugars are, we've got sucrose, which everyone knows, it's the white snow of the food industry. It is sugar, white sugar. We've got fructose, which is from fruit, brown sugar, agave, and you can see all the others on the slide there that are basically all just sugar. Now, what I would like to tell you, my friends, is that insulin, right, that is what is triggered by the sugars coming into our body, is not a snob. She is not a snob. So it doesn't matter if you have bought organic maple syrup from the most crisp area of Canada, right? The best maple trees in the world, and you might have paid 20 bucks for this tiny little jar of maple syrup. It doesn't care. Okay, insulin does not care. It is still going to spike her up the same way that white sugar will do it. So it's understanding that for yourself. Let's look at where else sugar can be, okay? So you can see here, we've got the breakdown of the teaspoons of sugar. It really hides, and we're going to delve into this a little bit deeper, and I'll show you actually how to calculate your sugars on the back of packets. We've got, this one's interesting, right? We've got a coleslaw, which has got 16 grams of sugar in it, which equals 4 teaspoons for a little bowl of coleslaw. It's not the vegetables that have the sugar. It is actually the dressing. Another rule to keep in the back of your mind is that anything that is low fat generally will have added sugar. So a low fat yogurt sometimes can have up to 6 teaspoons of added sugar. The World Health Organization recommends between 6 and 8 added teaspoons of sugar per day for an adult. And it's very, very easy to get there, my friends. And I will show you how the world is in the state that it is in because we're adding so much sugar into our diet and not even realizing it. A lot of parents will add muesli bars into their child's lunchbox. These often add up to 6 teaspoons of sugar. We've got a fruit smoothie, which when I was running a gym years ago when the NutriBullet phase came out, and a lot of my clients were piling into their fruit. And a fruit smoothie on average has 8 teaspoons of sugar. So we're talking about the fruit being converted into sugar in our bloodstream. So immediately I was seeing a lot of my clients put on weight and they thought that they were being healthy. So it's really good to start to understand where the sugar is. Right, this is what I'm going to teach you, my friends, is how to read a label. Okay, we've got on this diagram here, you can see we have got the carbohydrate, which is, if we go for the 250 ml, which is typical of a serving size for a juice, we've got 26.3 grams of sugar, of carbohydrate. And then we go down to the sugar content and we can see 26.3 grams of sugar. So we know if we just turn that into a percentage right there, we've got 3% of sugar. But this is how we read the label. Okay. If you have got a 100-gram column, we turn that sugar into a percentage. So this one here, the wonderful Nutri-Grain, becomes 37.6% sugar. And how we work out how many teaspoons, we divide it by 4. I'll show you the actual formula here. So if you've got a packet, like a packet of biscuits or a packet of lollies, this is how you do it. So you look at how many sugars are in it, so the added sugar. And for this example here, we've got 12 grams per serving. So we do 12 divided by 4 equals 3 teaspoons of added sugar per serve. And if we come back to the Nutri-Grain label, we can see the added sugars are 9, okay? And we go 9 divided by 4, and I've got the math wrong, it's meant to be 2 point something something, but you get the idea, equals 2 teaspoons of sugar, just for that little serving of Nutri-Grain. Now, if you have health issues, if you've got brain issues, if you have got type 2 diabetes, this is when it becomes really crucial to start looking at the carbohydrates that are going to impact your blood sugars as well. Because everything that is a carbohydrate turns into sugar in the bloodstream. But here's the caveat. I'm a trained keto coach and I did keto for a really long time, but what I am teaching you and what I advocate now is not keto, okay? It's not keto, because what I have found with the diets around the world that are doing amazingly for our health, like the Mediterranean diet, keto gets a lot of good scientific knowledge, the vegan diet, what they all have in common is an increase in fiber. And fiber, in terms of your blood sugars, is your absolute friend when it comes to carbohydrate. And carbohydrate, I'm talking things like bread, crackers, starchy vegetables, different pastas, things that are very, very high in fiber. They are better options to eat. So what we do, the formula, is let's just pretend that in this packet, we have got 60 grams of carbohydrate per serving, and we're going to take off fiber, which is 6 grams. And we have 60 minus 6 divided by 4 equals 13.5 teaspoons of sugar per serve. And this, my friends, is where, when I initially took the sugar out of my diet, the added sugar, and I still had problems, I realized that I needed to start looking at my carbohydrate. Okay, I needed to start looking at the other foods that I didn't think were sugar, but they were turning into sugar in the bloodstream. What I teach from with my clients is what's called the glycemic index. And this is something that every single practitioner agrees on. You know, there is the science behind it. And what I found really interesting, and this is why I switched away from being strictly keto, right, to start bringing in some other root vegetables and high fiber grains, is that all of these diets are actually focusing on the green. They're focusing on the green. So I've created this for you, and it's a traffic light system. So we've got green for go, orange for stop, orange for slow, and red for stop. Now, everything that is in the red is low fiber and high sugar. It converts extremely quickly to sugar in the bloodstream. So it's going to raise your blood sugar, causing a lot of, those excited feelings, the feelings of being energized, and then it is going to drop you down, my friends, very, very quickly. And eating in the red was what was attributed to my binge eating disorder, because all I was eating was in the red. Now, we look at green, and this is where I find the patterns really interesting and good nutrition, is that most of these diets are eating in the green. If you look at a really good vegan diet, they're eating legumes, they're eating tofu, they're eating a lot of vegetables, and that's all in the green. But the interesting thing is that when I turned vegan to try and be skinny when I was 18, and that's actually when I put on my 25 kilos, because I was eating white bread, dark chocolate, baked beans, and salt and vinegar chips. Okay, so I was vegan, but I was still in the red. Everywhere that we need to look in terms of our nutrition for our brain health is sitting in the green. You're more than welcome to contact me, and I can email you a copy of this glycemic index. So I'd like to ask you right now, how long are you and your family willing to struggle? You know, if you were anything like me, I thought that I was the problem. I really did. I thought that I didn't have willpower, that I couldn't lose the weight, or I needed another diet, or I needed to exercise more to find that balance. And it was only by quitting sugar and really committing to that path that I was able to stabilize my weight. And an amazing thing happened. My mood stabilized, my ADHD calmed down. There was a whole lot of mental health benefits that came from taking sugar out. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. This is my soapbox moment for you all, because it's something that as mums, we need to understand. If you have got children that are struggling in the classroom, if you've got children at home that have anxiety, depression, if you have anxiety or depression, if you've got an elderly parent that is struggling, all of this stuff we know from science links directly back to sugar. And we can turn around and say, oh, it tastes really good, or, oh, it's my treat. All of these beliefs that we have around us is actually holding us prisoner to our tongue. That's all it is. Because if you cut this out, sorry to be a bit gross, but if you cut your tongue out, there wouldn't be a problem, right? So that 6 inches, or however long it is in your mouth, is actually governing your entire health system in your body. So what I'd like to ask you right now, this is just a quick masterclass. It's a toe dip in the water so you can start to see the science behind it and how to read food labels. But I want to ask you, do you want to know the shortcut? Do you want to know how to eat for optimum health? And this science, this way of eating, the glycemic index, you can go and buy a book, right? You can find it online. You can absolutely find the information based on this way of eating, if that's what you want to do. What I would invite you to think about is that I know the shortcuts. I know the hacks from a natural medicine background as well. So all of the different herbs, the food combinations, the timings of how to exactly get the sugar out, because I've done it. You know, I've walked the walk. So it's up to you. I have got a quit sugar program, and I'll just share this with you now. I've got one that's starting in a couple of weeks, and that's in a group space. And what it is 4 sessions virtually. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, because I can work out the timings, and you're going to learn exactly how to get your sugar out of your diet. The process is that I get you to send me a food diary, I analyze your food diary, and we start to create switches based on your new knowledge, based on your tastes and how your family eats. And that's the real beauty of the glycemic index, is that there's a whole lot of food in the green. And as part of this process, you just turn around and work out what you want to eat. But it's the little tricks and tips that I've learned along the way that'll really help you. So the group course, next one starts in 2 weeks. I also offer one-on-one coaching as well, and it really depends what you want to do. If you want a more individualized pathway where we can start to dive into some of your health conditions, then that's an option as well. But it's totally in your hands, because it is your journey, your body, and you need to know if you're actually ready to take the next step and get control of this. Okay, my friends, well, I hope you have a wonderful day. Again, just pop into the comments, or you can direct message me if you want to get a copy of the glycemic index that I've created. I can send that to you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Just take care of yourselves. Whatever you decide to do, just remember we get one body, and our body is our vehicle for life. So have a great day and keep shining.